viewers and listeners. Alhamdulillah, in our short fiqh lessons that we started last week, we started with the section of the two Eids, and this evening, inshallah, we conclude that section. It is broken up into two parts. So last week, the author spoke about the salah that is performed on Eid, Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. That salah has two rak'atain, and we spoke about the number of takbirat that is made in those rak'ats. And so the author continues this evening, and I continue this evening with the author's words. The author states, وَيَخْطُبْ بَعْدَهُمَا خُطْبَتَيْنِ يُكَبِّرْ فِي الْأُولَى تِسْعًا وَفِي الثَّانِيَةِ سَبْعًا. That the imam, after the salah, the imam will make the khutbah. So this is another important point in fiqh, that we often look at what is the preferred order or tartib on Eid day, on the day of Eid. So from the text we gather that it is best to have the salah and then the khutbah after the salah. In some masajid they do move around the order, but particularly at this masjid, in most of the masajid in PE and Utenaig, they have the khutbah after the salah. So just note that particular tartib. And then the author indicates that the imam, the khatib, يكبر في الأولى تسعا وفي الثانية سبعا. That the imam or the khatib will make 9 takbirat in the first khutbah and 7 in the second khutbah. Okay, and that is why you would hear the khatib when he opens the khutbah on Eid, they begin with the takbir. And then the author indicates, and this is the real point that I'm looking at this evening, وَيُكَبِّرْ مِنْ غُرُوبِ الشَّمْسِ مِنْ لَيْلَةِ الْعِيدِ إِلَىٰ أَنْ يَدْخُلَ الْإِمَامُ فِي الصَّلَاةِ وَفِي الْأَضْحَى خَلْفَ الصَّلَوَاتِ الْمَفْرُوضَاتِ مِنْ صُبْحِ يَوْمِ عَرَفَةِ إِلَى الْعَصْرِ مِنْ آخِرِ أَيَّامِ التَّشْرِيقِ. And here the author now speaks about the takbir. Very good revision for us, inshallah. The takbir that is made because it is Eid. And the author differentiates between the takbir of Eid al-Fitr and the takbir of Eid al-Adha. So the author states that the takbir of Eid al-Fitr, the Eid that comes after Ramadan, the takbir begins after the sun has set. So basically, more essentially, after Maghrib. Now an important point, if the news of the sighting of the moon reaches us, so it reaches us a little bit after Maghrib if we are looking for the moon on that day, in the example of what we experience in Ramadan, at the end of Ramadan, then the takbir would begin as soon as we hear that it is, Eid the next day. If we, for example, went on the 29th day, the 29 days have completed and we are sighting, we're looking for the moon and we do not see the moon, we then know that we are going to complete 30 days. And so the Maghrib that then comes after the 30th day has completed, the takbir then begins immediately after Maghrib, because then it is Eid al-Fitr the following day. An important point, and people often get confused regarding this. When does the takbir end on Eid al-Fitr? Does it end when the imam enters the masjid? Does it go beyond the gathering? So the takbir for Eid al-Fitr ends officially when the imam enters the Eid Salah. So the takbir can continue up until the point of the imam about to begin. Some fuqaha, some scholars have written that if you see the imam walking towards the musalla for the Eid Salah, you must stop. Others have said, and I know in many Cape Townian masajid this is quite popular, that when the imam enters the masjid, the takbir must stop. So I recall one year when I delivered the Eid in Cape Town after Ramadan, I couldn't enter the masjid. They told me to wait because the people must first finish their takbir. So that was the opinion they followed. They made me wait literally outside the door until they said it is now your cue to enter, because the masjid will now become silent once they see the khatib or the imam entering. That is the opinion that they followed at that masjid. Here at Masjid Taqwa, we signal that you need to conclude, and we are going to begin the Eid Salah. And then the takbir regarding Eid al-Adha begins after Fajr Salah on the day of Arafah, min subhi yawmi Arafah, until Asr Salah, or after Asr essentially, um, on the third day of Tashriq, right? So the third day of Tashriq, which would correspond to the 13th of Dhul Hijjah. The supporting evidence for this, for making the takbir, comes from the verse in the Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وَلِتُكْمِلُوا الْعِدَّةَ وَلِتُكَبِّرُوا اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا هَدَاكُمْ وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ, where Allah says, from the author's words, Allah indicates, and complete the period of Ramadan and make the takbir of Allah for His guidance so that you may be grateful. And then the author continues, قالوا هذا في تكبير عيد الفطر وقيس به الأضحى, that this ruling is granted to the takbir of Eid al-Fitr, and based upon that qiyas has been made. Now qiyas is another area in usul al-fiqh. Last week we spoke about ijma'. Can you remember the translation of ijma'? Consensus. Yes, when the ulama agree upon a point, that is consensus, and then it becomes a source of fiqh or jurisprudence. Here this evening, beautifully, we find the concept of qiyas. And qiyas is an analogical deduction, that when we find a preceding rule in fiqh, the ulama examine it and they make qiyas, they analyze it and they deduce that this can then be extended on something else. So the ulama clearly indicate here that qiyas has been made on the takbir of Ramadan, of Eid al-Fitr, sorry, and applied to Eid al-Adha. What I want to touch on, without any politics or debates, subhanallah, is making takbir Yawm Arafah to the third day of Tashriq. Now I'm smiling because all the Hajis know why. Because in South Africa and in many parts of the world, there's a debate regarding the calculation and determination of these days. And there are two fatwas. Each fatwa has sound reasoning, without a doubt. Now, many would say, well, when do I begin takbir? The teaching clearly indicates Yawm Arafah. So does it now correspond to the people on Arafah, or does it correspond to the 9th of Dhul Hijjah? This is the huge debate that scholars haven't solved prior to this generation. I don't know if it will be solved, but this is essentially the debate. So the advice that I give is, based upon the majority ruling in our country, we as masajid and imams, we accept the rulings that come from our senior bodies in the country. And so they determine that the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, the majority view in South Africa, is that it's based upon a local sighting, and then they calculate days. And so this particular masjid would, make takbir in accordance with the calculation of the days, the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. I'm very cautious in terms of the naming of the days, because this is essentially the debate. That can Yawm Arafah be when people are not on Arafah? That is a huge debate. And so when you are making takbir, if you go to a masjid and they are making takbir, they are following a particular fatwa, then you follow in accordance with what that masjid is doing. But please, my dear brothers and sisters, and those watching and those listening, if you go to a masjid and they are not following the fatwa you are following, please don't scream takbir and then go into a fiqh debate. Right? The scholars haven't agreed upon this. So, and in South Africa there's disagreement, and in our city there's disagreement. So we just look at and we respect the position that each masjid follows. If you go to a masjid and let's say they are, making takbir because they follow, hypothetically, the sighting of the moon and Hajj in Mecca. So they start maybe on Yawm Arafah, which they deem Yawm Arafah, and they make takbir, and you're uncomfortable, then just don't make the takbir if you're following a different fatwa. Okay? But please do not launch in debates. I'm begging everyone weeks in advance, inshallah, do not go into the debates, and these are the fiqh rulings that apply. So to summarize, takbir is made on Eid al-Fitr from after Maghrib, the preceding night, until the Eid Salah. Okay, that is the technicality until the Eid Salah. But again, look at what the masjid does. If you go to a masjid or a musalla or an idgah and they make takbir until they see the imam and they stop, then stop. That is what they are doing, because there is a fiqh ruling that says إذا دخل الإمام, when the imam enters the masjid, then there must be sukut. You must be silent because the imam must now proceed. And of some masajid, of course, they base it on the Eid Salah beginning. And then Eid al-Adha begins from after Fajr on Arafah day until Asr on the 13th of Dhul Hijjah, the third day of Tashriq. Any questions, my dear brothers? No, we can't solve the two Labarang issue, not this evening. Jazakallah khairan wa sallallahu wa sallam ala Muhammad rabbil alamin.